Hello, welcome to LLG's Random But Real. My name is Lisa L. Gilliam, and I am the host of this podcast, where we have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I am singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music, to your ears. Please note, the comments expressed in this podcast are those of mine and or the guests. They are not intended to be used for professional guidance. Please seek a licensed professional if you are in need of care or therapy, experiencing trauma, or are in danger. And if in danger, please call 911. Thank you in advance for listening to LLG's Random But Real. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of LLG Random But Real. I'm your host, Lisa One Senior Lady Gilliam. And on this platform, for those who have never heard it before, we have conversations about any and all things random, not a side dish of mental health advocacy. So we want to make sure this is an entree of different discussions related to mental health, because as my stigma breaker collective sister always says, mental health can affect every area of your life. It actually does. And so we discussed different topics. This is pre-recorded. Today it was thundering a little bit. So if you hear any sounds in the background, that's nature, not me. But I'm excited to have my guest, Maria Morgan from With These Hands 20602 LLC with me. Say hello to the people, Maria.
Hello.
I'm very happy to have you on. So I usually start out, for those who don't know, I try my best to actually only have conversations with people I know personally. And this is Random But Real. One, because I don't edit. It is whatever is said, and what people want to answer, they can answer, and what they don't, they don't. And we just have conversations. So sometimes our phone conversations are very engaging. And so I just try to transform that and put it on the podcast for other people to be blessed by the information. So Maria, would you like to tell people how we met, or would you like for me to tell people how we met?
You can tell them.
Okay. So in short, I have a nickname for my friend Alex, our friend Alex, FC. I won't say what the nickname stands for, but we'll make sure that he knows that we shouted him out on the podcast. But this is the year where a lot of people are turning 50, 51, and we both were invited to his 50th birthday brunch. And I was very honored to be invited. And I think we talked about that too. I think you felt similar. They've known each other since high school. He and I met actually 5 years ago, because I think I met him maybe a couple of weeks before I was getting ready to turn 45. So I was thinking about that. And he's a phenomenal musician. I know he also sings. Just a nice dude, right? And so we were sitting at the same table, along with, I don't know how you want me, I'm just going to say Harlan. You can introduce him in a different way, our significant other. And we just had great conversations. Come to find out, Harlan and I know mutual people too, from Coolidge or Uptown. And so just the conversations kind of, started from that. And we found out that we had some similar things in common. And so the friendship then developed. Would that be a nice way to put it? I mean, you could say some more if you want to about that.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Okay. And what I will say this though, you all, the first day that we met, I happened to be talking about my book, 21 Days, and Maria was kind enough to support that day. Like, a lot of people don't do that. I think that's happened like once or twice since the book has been released. And so those who know me know I'm really big on support. Because I realize everybody doesn't have the situation. They may not be going through the financial struggles that I was going through. So for someone who doesn't know me to be willing to support like that, it means the world to me. And so that's that, my little 2 cents. However, so um, I let the guests initially, if you want to, you could start where you would like to start. So it's so much that we've talked about since December. What would you like to start with?
I told you I can talk all
Oh,
day, but I'm better with being asked a question and we go
okay.
from there.
All right. I just wanted to give it another chance. So
You
let's
can.
start with let's start with like what do you do? What is your profession and why did you decide to get into that field?
Okay, what don't I do? As any
Yeah,
Black
right.
woman of this era and the eras before us, we do whatever is necessary to get it done.
Right.
So I have a dual degree in psychology and sociology, recently received. I won't say the
Mhm,
university, but
mhm.
I conferred December 30th. I turned 51 December 31st. I'm sorry, I walked across the stage December 16th, and on January 3rd, I became a teacher, a science teacher for SPED students. Before then, I was an IA, joining the school system because my son, who was not in a special education program, I was a stay at home mom and got tired of the alerts. So I decided if I was an employee in his school, I would be on site, though I couldn't stop anything from happening to him, but I would be there in case something did. So that's how I entered into education. I
Can
am
you tell people what the IA is? Because some people are not familiar with the acronyms and things in the system.
So an acronym, the IA acronym is instructional assistant or otherwise known as paraprofessional, which is the person that assists the teacher within the classroom. And for the classroom that I was positioned in, it was with the Achieve program for autistic students. So within that field or within that environment, I assisted non-speaking and minimal speaking children that suffer from autism, um, those that have behavioral concerns, learning developments, and things of that nature. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, but I
Continue.
am currently co creator, founder, president, CEO of With These Hands uh, 20602 LLC, which is a catering company. We do meal prep, we do food delivery, we do catering services, we do events, we do what you need. And our catchphrase is that we deliver love on the plate because, as everyone has told us, they can taste the love. So, my Buddha babe, which is Harlan, is also known as the wingman. So, we're two businesses in one, and he creates all of the specialty wings that people love, as well as our other meat products, aside from the ribs, which I create my own rub and barbecue sauce for, and I do everything else from soul food to Italian to Asian to whatever you need. I am here for you.
Isn't that awesome? And we'll definitely make sure that you give out your contact information before the show. You guys see some of the pictures and yeah, okay.
Thank you much.
Even when she describes the food, it sounds like it love.
It's love. It's love. It's my happy place. It's love.
Yeah, total opposite of me, which we spoke about because I ain't trying to, but I also can't eat a whole lot of food for one. But we'll talk about that another time. We have talked about that. We have talked about just, a lot of life issues. And so I have shared on this platform and others when I was doing like the YouTube live of so October would be 6 years since my mom's death. And it still seems like yesterday. I'm still healing a lot, there's levels, to grief. And so it ebbs and flows. And so holidays, et cetera, like that are still seemingly really difficult for me, but not to the same extent that it was. It's just more so that my mom was like my biggest supporter. She was always there, blah, blah, blah. And so I have dealt with, I have been diagnosed with PTSD. A lot of people think that only comes from being in the war. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. I have never served in any war, although thank you for those who have had to serve in the services, armed services for that. But when you walk in or you find your grandmother deceased, and then, even 20 some years later, you walk in, your mom is unconscious, and also you hear her taking her last breath. when she's in the hospital, when she was for 2 weeks, it definitely can trigger some PTSD. And so that's kind of what happened with me. But along with that comes with depression and anxiety at times, and just a lot of different stressful situations. It's weird because before her death, I dealt more with depression, and then afterwards, it was more anxiety, even social anxiety. So I can be around a lot of people and not be okay, or I could be around a lot of people and have a group of people there that I'm cool with and be okay. So I was really glad because I only knew two other people at, Alice's brunch. So I was glad that I was able to connect with you all because I'm really shy, I'm more of an introvert. So shortly after that, I went to Maria's YouTube page and I got to see her express part of her testimony. And I just wanted you to share a little bit about that. It was another connection for us.
Um, I think I think I started posting those when I was doing security. Yeah, I was security too. Um, and I worked the overnight shift, and I think I was doing Periscope at the time. And one night I just decided to go on YouTube, and I found that for me, I'm an expressionist. So though I'm shy, I am shy, believe it or not. Um, I had to force myself to become an extrovert of sorts, but really faking in an extroverted world.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a child, I was very awkward and shy and just afraid of doing anything, though I was good at it. I was just afraid of my secrets being shared. So I got tired of being bullied and abused by quote unquote friends, which is why I don't use the F word freely, which is friend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just created the person that you met because it was easier to pose as that person and protect myself than to allow myself to be open. So one day, like I said, I was at work overnight and I just had it on my heart to let it out because it was just drowning me. I was having thoughts of killing myself on my birthday. And I thought to myself, oh, well, this would be a great day to die. Like my tombstone would say, born on, died on, like things of that nature. And I realized that there were other people out there that may be feeling the same way. So a dual purpose was born, and I'm glad that it finally reached you because I actually forgot about it. And recently I have started posting a daily journal, but my issue is that once I start feeling better, I forget about it. So I need to go back. But
Yes.
I found that I have struggled with, I can't really say depression, but reality a lot. And it's manifested in me wanting to or thinking about not, I don't think killing myself, but killing the pain. And a lot of people confuse killing the pain with killing themselves. So that's what that channel was about, just self-expression.
Okay. And so I mean, you have your feelings. I guess I have to come from where I've been because I was a counselor for 20 years. And so I'm taught to read the nonverbals. I'm taught to read what people may not say. And also what some people may not be comfortable with saying. But because I also at one point wanted to die by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know what those thoughts can feel like. And it's a lonely place. I
Oh
think
yeah.
people think that I've heard people say, "Oh, they're a coward when they do that." And I'm just like, you have no idea what goes through a person's mindset when they feel like that's all they have. And so
Right.
I think that also why for me now, ugh, 50 years old, never married, no children, no, I have a sibling who has a family, but I'm living life by myself. That's how I really feel. And although I've met people and I've connected with people, I don't talk to one person on any given day, and so it's been a lonely um, life, I would say, over the last, especially the last year, because I finally moved from where I was, and um, just experiencing life in. I see things clearly now, or more clear
Mm-hmm.
than I did before, and I'm thankful for the people that God is putting along my path as I get to know me. So I can say this. I've called Maria, even though we just know each other a little bit over 6 months, and we have talked about some serious things, and she allows me to like vent. And so talk therapy is great for me. Like I
Mhm.
just sometimes need to hear myself get it out. And
Yep.
so what do you feel? So you say you're expressionist or whatever. You said, I'm glad to hear that you're doing the YouTubes and the and writing things down. And yes, I hope you keep that consistent. Maybe even write a book. um, but I got to put that out there because
Mhm.
that's what you do. I encourage people. I want people to even do and grow and be even better than they are. What do you think in those challenges, whether it was dealing with where you were when you were feeling like I just don't want to live, to even some of the things or struggles that you've had as a parent? How do you feel you're able to overcome all that? What have you done to be able to overcome all that? And you could talk about your how many, your children and that stuff too, if you want to. Nice little segue there.
Well, it's because of them that I didn't. I don't like I said, I never wanted to stop living. I just wanted the pain to stop.
Hmm.
And in my mind, that would have been the only way to stop it. That's the only way of guaranteeing you won't feel it anymore. But the sad thing is you won't feel the happiness. You won't see your kids anymore. You won't see, feel the love, the embrace, none of that.
Right. Right.
And each time that is what stopped me. When the voices became too loud to just end it. I remember living in Southeast. I remember laying in the floor and just screaming out, God, please help me. Just stop, crying. And that's when I had that thought to take my own life. And what stopped me then was I didn't want my daughter to come home and find my body.
Mm.
Each time the thought has been my children, and now my children and Buddha Babe. Like, I told you most recently while I was on a trip in Aruba in freaking paradise, with this room on the 18th floor overlooking the beach and the ocean. I had to stop myself from going on my balcony because my thought was fall over the balcony. What stopped me then was not being there for my daughter whenever she gets married, and not having my children there for their first births, and my Buddha babe, how he would feel. And then it was, girl, you don't want to watch yourself fall to your death. Like,
That's a long way down.
right. Like, how quick is that?
Right.
So it was
I'm glad
things
that
like
that
that.
changed. I'm
Right.
glad that changed for real.
So, like I said, it's never been about wanting to end my life. It's been to end the pain. But I'm thankful, and I've told my children, I finally gained the strength to tell my children about those thoughts in, I think, like 2019, 2020.
Mhm.
And sadly, but greatly enough, it gave them and my Buddha babe the floor to share with me their thoughts. So that's how I know for us, it's not about ending the life, it's just ending the pain.
Right. And oftentimes, believe it or not, even with clients that I used to have, that's exactly what it is. Even
Hmm.
with me, it was you're going through so much, you feel like that's the only way out. And I wish I could remember. I did a song called "Bandage or Bondage." It's a spoken word piece with song and an artist, Vital, Jason Johnson, was on there, and basically he was saying, I wish I could have the actual quote, but in his rap, he was like, don't let a momentary situation basically end
In
up
the
in a
lifetime.
forever.
Hmm.
Right. And it was so powerful. And it's talking about that, removing the bandage or staying in bondage. And actually, you know what? That wasn't it. That was the first song. His was oh gosh, what is it? I'm gonna have to look it up. That's horrible when you write songs and you can't remember your own songs. But
All right,
it was
Patty.
I know, right? That's why I wasn't surprised when that happened because I'm like, I haven't, but I will have to say, or I can say that also PTSD has caused memory loss, memory retention,
Right,
and processing issues for me. So I'm very open about that. It's almost like it's having like a mental traumatic brain injury without having the physical. And
right.
so I forget stuff all the time. But I'm gonna look up that song because maybe even I can hear the rap. But that's awful. Yeah, that I can't remember my own stuff. But I do have Bandage of Bondage too.
Okay.
That is another one. Um, But yeah, just kind of going through those process or that process, and finding your way on the other side. Once you've done it, I know for me, I felt so much better. Like even with what I still go through, I'm still glad to be alive. Do you
Mhm.
feel the same way?
Definitely. I mean, with every smile, with every blessing, with every next day. I do this thing every morning where before I open my eyes, if I can help it, before I open my eyes, but definitely before I put my feet on the floor, bladder willing, me and God, the universe, and the ancestors have a talk. And I'm thankful. And towards the end of it, I thank them for the growth, but I also thank for the next day, for the do over.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's those moments. Because I'm like, had I ended it, I wouldn't be here to see this.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. You absolutely right. And I wouldn't have known you.
yeah,
Well, yeah, because
yeah,
that was before. Yeah, that was years before, right?
yep, years, 2019.
So yeah, that was like during the well, right before the pandemic, actually. Well,
Hmm.
it was really during it. We just didn't know. It wasn't announced to the world. That's why it's
Man,
called COVID-19. Um,
me
but
too.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yes, you said your kids were your reason for that. What has that experience been like being a mom? Just having to pour into both females and males. You know what I mean? How has that been for you, that experience?
It's been it's been beautiful, but then again it hasn't. Like if I have to have any regrets in life, it would be that I didn't raise them every day of their lives. Um, Oftentimes I'm blessed to, and I call it a blessing, to be reminded of days that weren't so good and
Mhm,
things that I did um, as a parent that I look back on now and I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, I had my first child, how old was I? 19 when I gave birth, coming up
okay,
on 20. And I was on full basketball scholarship. I chose to go to Coppin State, though I could have went across the nation. We could have went anywhere. But I chose
mhm,
to go to Coppin State here in Baltimore just so that I could be closer to my boyfriend at the time. And no one really told me if he loves you, he'll push you away and he'll still be here. So I chose Baltimore, Coppin State, in order to be able to come home every weekend, which resulted in a pregnancy my first semester, which
mhm,
ended up having me to leave college because not doing the research and not reading and not, just trusting in everybody. My coaches told me that I had to leave school and that they would withdraw me, only to find out later on they were still receiving my scholarship checks
wow,
and cashing them out. So
wow,
we thought that we would abort, but went to the clinic and they were like, "You're too far along." So had to make not even make the decision, had to accept this decision that we were going to become young parents and went to my first prenatal visit to find out that the technician was wrong. And I wasn't too far along at the time that we went, but I
mhm,
was now. So I was elated to be a parent, but I didn't know how to be a parent. Like I had the training because of being an eldest sister. It's four of us, four girls, no boys.
mhm,
I was born to a 17-year-old mom, a fresh 17-year-old mom. Her birthday September 18th. Mine is December 31st. So she didn't know anything for real about parenting outside from being an older sibling and having to take care of her younger half siblings.
mhm.
So I knew how to be a parent, but I wasn't prepared financially to be a parent. I wasn't prepared to make the sacrifices and to do the work necessary.
Okay,
Um, so I love being a parent. I regret not being there every day. I've done things resulting in us being evicted, resulting in having a car repossessed, um, being in a shelter for 21 days with my daughter and one of my other sons. Having to give my children to their dads. It's two fathers, 4 children. Having to give my children to their dads because I was tired of running and I faced the music that I could not afford to take care of them after being in a shelter, after being in a transitional housing and still not doing right. So the game plan was that they would be with their dads for 2 years max. It ended up being 6 years for my daughter and my 2 younger sons. And for the rest of my oldest son's life, before he graduated, because we went to court and the judge just felt it was no need to uproot him. So though I didn't leave their lives, I wasn't there every day as a parent should be. Giving money and spending weekends in my book for me is not parenting.
Understood. So what would you say to people that might be feeling some similar, feelings and emotions? Like, how did you move past that to have the relationships that you all have now?
It took a lot of talking. It took a lot of shutting up on my part. It took a lot of accepting their truths, whether it's what I remember or not. I still go through it with my daughter. She's 30 now. I still go through it with her and her bringing it up. Like every time we are together, she's complaining about her dad and different things. And it makes me feel better until the table is turned. And,
Mm-hmm.
we've gotten to the point now where she thanks me for listening. So I listen, I'll tell her my version, she'll tell me her version. But since she's the one that's still hurting and it was her life that was greatly affected, I have to swallow it. So we're in a better place. I'm in a better place with all of them, but my younger boys haven't opened up as much to everything that they experienced. My oldest son, we had a very revealing conversation, and he explained to me one day that he actually thought that I loved them more because they stayed with me. He didn't remember the court case. He didn't remember it, but I am one that I'm all about the receipts. So I was able to show him the court manuscript, and he was able to see that I fought for him. Um, so we're in a much better place as well. I do hurt because I feel like we could be closer, but I think that they do understand now that they're adults, or they're able to ask the hard hitting questions to get the knowledge. My daughter recently asked me, why did I keep them? How did I feel when I found out I was pregnant with them? So we have conversations like that, just total naked conversation. Like the soul is exposed. There is nothing that you can hide behind. So
No, I think that that's a beautiful thing. Like, although I don't have children, um, like when you become a counselor, you're trained in so many different aspects of things. And one of the things you said was listening. And that's what we have to do, because we need to make sure that whatever we're saying to, and I'm not a counselor now, and this podcast is not about giving counseling advice. They're our own views. I didn't say that from the beginning, but it's just conversations. Of course, you take the meat, spit out the bones. But if you need help and or you're interested in therapy, and this all to all the listeners, please send me a message and I can definitely refer you to someone. However, listening is super important. I think having the conversations, and a lot of people I found don't want to have the hard conversations. And so they rather just live in this perpetual pain, or they think they're good because they haven't had any issues until someone, usually I'm the someone, will, actually confront them on a topic or issue, because I don't like conflict. But if it means getting to the truth, then I will definitely confront you. I will definitely ask you whatever, or I will definitely tell you how I feel, because if I don't, it stays bottled up in me, and that's not good either. So, I think that's great that you were able to have those conversations, and I will encourage more parents to do so. I so wish that there are things that I found out after my parents died that I can't ever ask them
right.
anymore. And I really wish that I could. And even when I tried to ask some other family members, they didn't know the answers to that. And yeah, all of us have like life stories, you know what I mean? Things that happen, things that are not necessarily the greatest. one of the things that, and I don't talk about it often, but I do talk about being sexually abused, molested, and raped. However, I don't talk about the family member that did abuse me, and or family members, because it was different times. But my mom at one point ended up, she was a nurse, LPN nurse, and she worked at, we used to call it Lorton, in Virginia, and she worked in the jail. And this family member happened to be also incarcerated there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never thought to ask my mom when she was living how it felt for her to have to give care to this relative when they came into the infirmary, knowing that they sexually molested me
Right.
and abused me. And that might not be a question that everybody cares to find out, right? But it's one that I wish I could have had a conversation with. And I
Right.
can never do that anymore. And so I would encourage, even just listen to what you said, um, to have those hard conversations with your children. I know you think you're like keeping them on your side by not having them, but you know what I mean? But I think that's so important. So again, I commend you for doing that, because a lot
Thank
of
you.
people don't.
I've always, that's one thing I knew, um, as a young child and as a virgin, that I would always be open to my children and anyone that I have around me, because I refuse to have anyone around me that I can't trust and can't trust me. So my children have always understood from the time they could understand that you can ask me anything. I might blush and I'm gonna
Right.
giggle like I
Might not
cannot
be
believe this
easy,
child is asking me
but
this.
right.
But when my children asked me, we discussed it. I remember my children being young, like 7 and 9. So my oldest son and my daughter, and they were asking me, "What's an STD?" I'm like, "What in the what?" But I broke out a book and we talked about it. And my mother was the same, or yeah, was she's still alive, but she was the same. Like kids would come over and we had a projector, a real to real projector, and she would teach sex ed. She like whatever. And even now in my classroom, I know I'll tell them, look, we can get in trouble for some of this stuff, but if they ask me, thank goodness I have other skills, because I go to work every day with the knowledge that if this job should end, I have others. Like
Right.
I'm never worried about losing my job for doing something right. You know, so which has led to me mentoring some of the students, some of the girl students this summer, and having some of the kids that they deem bad, other teachers deem bad, send me emails. Miss Morgan, I miss you. Or so and so said they talked to you, whatever. So they all understand that it's with your parent permission. But I'm an open book. I will filter it for the young people. But
Mhm.
when they get to talking about my girlfriend this, my girlfriend that, we've had the conversation. Okay, please put on the condom. And then they're giggling. Then you should not be doing it. If you cannot have a serious conversation, then
Mhm.
this is not something you should be doing. If you're approaching it in a sense that you're ashamed, you can't step into it as an adult with an adult mind because it is an adult act, then you shouldn't be doing it. And you definitely shouldn't be saying it around Miss Morgan. So it's the same with my children, when they were little to even being adults. Like we talk about things and we talk about them for real, for real.
Mhm. No, that's good. That is definitely good. So I did want to go back to what I said. I said I was going to find the title of the song. So in past and present, bandage or bondage is there, bandage versus bondage. But in my the Pen CD, which was released in 2019, past present was 2004. 2019 is remove the bandage, and in that, what's his name? Vital. He said the verses was in the Bible, 7 people committed suicide. Motives include rejection, depression, and pride. Poor self image, guilt, and greed. Death and destruction is where sin always leads. Most people kill themselves out of impulse. I got to. But if they waited today, they would have decided not to. Because feelings are fickle, emotions change, or when you die, that stays the same. Please refrain. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just it encompassed in the sense what you were saying, but yeah, we always want to like take that that momentary situation. And trouble really doesn't last always, although sometimes it seems like it.
Man.
It definitely seems like it, but it really, really doesn't. But before we go, I just wanted to know if there was anything that you definitely wanted to share with people, and please also give your contact information so that people can reach you, and then I will put it also on the tagline of the podcast too.
Anything I want to share. You are more than your actions. You're stronger than your fears. And it does indeed take a village, not just to raise you, but to get through life. So stop internalizing. Everything is not meant for you to hash out by yourself.
Mm,
It just isn't.
right.
We are put on this earth to find and make connections.
True.
Um, in my relationship, I'm constantly, because Harlan is a giver, and so am I. But I have, in our relationship, just strongly pushed into him that you are the most important entity in this relationship. I love how he spoils me. I love how he loves me. I love how he takes care of me. But he is the most important entity in this relationship when it comes to his perspective.
Mm,
When it comes to my perspective, I am the most important person in this relationship, because until I can make myself healthy and whole, there's nothing I can do for him, and vice versa. And I
got it.
also have him to understand that, and everybody, I even teach this to my students, 1 + 1 = 2, which means in this relationship, it took one individual and another individual to become a couple. You
Mhm.
have to keep that in mind and still do individual things.
Absolutely. Say that again, because people don't get it. And I know they think I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not married, but oh my gosh, I get
Yeah.
it.
Me and Alex talked about it. Alex even told me, he was like, he calls me double M. Double M, it ain't nothing out here in this single world. He was like, I love your relationship. Keep feeding into your relationship. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna keep on watering my little patch of brown grass with some green around. Cause
Their love is
it's,
sickening, y'all, in a good way. It's so
but it's the
like you
truth,
can tell
because
they love each other, like for real, in a good way.
yeah, because like people, like we're going through this heat wave, right? So until we got this rain, everybody's green grass was brown and crispy. But that don't mean
Mm,
it ain't grass. That don't
true.
mean it's not grass. And what happened? All this water came. We just planted some herbs. Last week, we already have sprouts. Why? Because their water came out. Before then,
Mm,
it was dry, brown dirt. Their water
mm,
came out and replenished it. We have sprouts. People's grass is coming back. It's turning green again. So y'all stop throwing out this brown grass and praying on this green, because it's going to come back around if you give it what it needs.
ah,
1 + 1
to our
=
preaching.
2. 1 + 1 = 2. You have to remember to heal yourself and be healthy for yourself. You're an individual. If
Mhm,
ever he needs to go somewhere, he wants to hang out. Oh, I'll even ask him, where Pete at? Like, go hang out. You don't have to be here. I'm gonna be the cute one in a fetal position snoring when you get home. I'm gonna be here because I
mhm,
trust in my relationship. I trust in
mhm,
my mate. He can be an individual. I went to Aruba without him. You can be an individual and your relationship still sustains.
mhm. Very true. Very, very true. Yes, even going out of the country, because some people don't believe in that either. But I
Girl,
digress.
when I went to Miami, I got so many inboxes. Are you still, y'all still in a relationship? Because I see all these pictures and he's not there. How your man let you? First of all, we don't use let. I'm grown.
Right.
Secondly, he knows who he's dating. Third, and most importantly, he trusts me. That's it. That's all. What you see is what you see. What he knows is what he knows.
Well, all right. And how can people reach you if they want to contact you or want to book you all for with these hands or the wingman or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
You can go to our Instagram page with these hands 20602. You can, I'm not good with my my Facebook page, but we're on Facebook as well. Or you can send an email to with these hands 20602 at gmail.com, or text or call 240-619-9549 or 240-548-7911.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you, if you could, please, to text that to me so I can just copy it straight into the thing, because that was a lot. Although I do have a lot of this information, but if you could, that would be great. Thank you so much for taking some time out to talk to me and the people. We appreciate it. And, for anybody that wants to reach me, I'm One Singing Lady on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Well, Facebook is Lisa L. Gilliam, and then One Singing Lady, I believe. But if you look for me, you'll find me. And then if you want to purchase a book or a CD, you Amazon, Google, any place where you can find that information. I hopefully you all listen to this LLG Random but Real podcast. Share with your friends, you all. Um, one of the ways that we help spread information is not just by participating, but also by sharing the information. You never know. It may not be beneficial for you, but somebody that you know might be going through some of the things that Maria or myself have experienced, and it could be a blessing to them. And so I feel like mental health is always about encouraging and helping others. So please definitely share. And then it's the number one, not spelled out. Spelled out is on YouTube. So, but you can find me, find us, and then support, follow, like, share. We thank you so much, Maria, for being a part. Oh, I don't know who we is, so I thank you so much for being. Maybe I'm speaking something to existence.
Hey, maybe.
Thank you so much, and everybody. Thanks for joining us. One Singing Lady out.
Bye.